All right, so we're going to go over some news, and I think Elon Musk needs a little help finding a column. I think he lost a few $1 billion of our Social Security money, so maybe we can help him fix it, find it, do a little investigative work for him and find those billions of dollars. But I also want to reiterate again, I've done a few videos of like this over the last few days about the mandate to go into the local Social Security office. So there's a lot of people out there receiving Social Security disability insurance, retirement benefits, survivor benefits, Medicare, whatever the case may be, and they think that they have to go to a local Social Security office April 1st. And if they don't, then their checks are going to stop. That is 100% not the case. You do not have to do anything. If you're currently receiving any type of check from the Social Security Administration, you do not have to call them unless you receive a letter to call them. But if you don't receive a letter, then you do not have to call them. You do not have to visit your local Social Security office. You do not have to go collect $200. Well, hopefully you collect $200. Anyway, you don't have to do any of that. There was a lot of misinformation going out there. The Social Security Administration, the new acting commissioner of Social Security, a DOGE guy says you do, then you don't. And I'm going to shut it down, and then I'm not. And so the whole thing is a cluster, as we used to say in the Marine Corps. There's another part of that word, but I'm not going to share it here. But no, you do not need to go down to your local Social Security office if you're currently receiving benefits. You do have to go down to the local Social Security office if you're filing a brand new claim. So if you're filing a new claim for retirement benefits, disability benefits, SSI, survivor benefits, then you did until they changed it a few days later, and then they just changed it yesterday and says, okay, you don't. If you want to file a new claim for disability benefits, you do not have to ID yourself at the local office. They do that through the claims process. If you can do it online, then you're good. If you have to do it over the phone, you don't have to go down to your local Social Security office. That's for disability, Medicare, SSI, which is the Supplemental Security Income, the welfare-based program the Social Security Administration administers. The only time you do have to go down to the local Social Security office is when you're filing a retirement claim. So that was the change. So retirement claim includes early retirement, delayed retirement, whatever the case may be. Also spouse benefits. So if you're filing for spouse benefits, divorce spouse benefits, independently entitled divorce spouse benefits, whatever it is, you need to go down to your local Social Security office if you can't do it completely online. And I'm waiting for the change on this one. I'm sure it will be coming out. If you need to file a claim for survivor benefits, then you also need to go down to your local Social Security office. And I think the powers that be at Social Security who don't have a clue what they're doing, or probably come out with a change here in hopefully the next 2 or 3 days and say, okay, if you're receiving survivor benefit, if you want to file a claim for survivor benefits, then you don't have to go down to your local Social Security office. They can do that over the phone. But as of right now, survivor claim you cannot do online. You have to do it over the phone or in a local office. So regardless of the fact, you have to go to your local office. Okay. So, and then there's another, some good information that the Social Security Administration just came out with today. They wanted to notify people that no, there are no office closings. You probably heard of dozens of office closings throughout the country. I personally, got a nice, tentacle of contacts throughout the country, and I haven't heard of any specific offices closed, so I never really mentioned that. I know there was reports that they were closed. I know they were closing some unproductive hearing offices. Those are for people that are filing for an administrative law judge, but since most of those are done by video conferencing and phone, they've shut down some of those, which was a good thing, save some money there. So that's some good savings there. Not a whole heck of a lot, but hey, every penny is our penny, right? All right. So, but where the real money is, supposedly Social Security is the greatest fraud in history. Elon Musk keeps repeating that. And his justification for repeating that was the infamous people over 150 years old receiving Social Security benefits. So he just came out with an X/Twitter tweet, whatever you call it, and he says, for the past 2 weeks, Social Security has begun a major cleanup of their records. Social Security means DOGE. DOGE is in charge of Social Security now. Approximately 3.2 million number holders, all listed age 120 plus, have now been marked as deceased. More work still to be done. And then he lists 120 to 129 years old. There's about 3 million or so. And so they've reduced that by 800. And the people over 150 years old, they've reduced that by 186,000 people. So they've closed out 3.2 million records. But you notice there's a missing column. If you go into X and you can see the original yourself, there's a missing column there. And it's very, very telling. There is no column for how much was saved by closing these records. Why? Why didn't that's the most important thing? It's like, okay, we've closed, 1.1 million records of people 130 years old to 139 years old. And because of that, we stopped checks about, $1 billion, $3 billion, $4 billion of money going out to these people. Where's that column? Where is it? It's not there. Why? Because, as I said, and everybody that says that knows Social Security, even the acting commissioner of Social Security, who is a DOGE guy, said this is not a database that pays money. This is just Social Security numbers that, in the 1970s, they typed the date of birth wrong, or this person maybe, passed away overseas. And so we stopped the record. There's this database that Elon Musk is obsessed with, which zero money comes out of. And then there's the database over here where actual money comes out of. $0 come out of the database that he is obsessed with, that he's working on. Go for it. You knock yourself out, but you're wasting money. You're wasting time. This is at a time when Social Security offices, as you probably heard, don't have enough money for paper. Elon Musk and DOGE have shut down just basic resources for people. Not only have they fired thousands of people, reduction in force, voluntold them to leave the premises, however you want to put it. They're not answering the phones. They, inundated in the office. It's taken forever to, adjudicate and process a disability claim or retirement claim. They don't have paper. They don't have headsets so they can answer the phone. And he's obsessed with tidying up a database over here where no money is coming out. He's wasting millions of dollars cleaning up this thing over here that has no relevance whatsoever. The Social Security has known about forever. They said, yeah, we can go over there clean it up, but it's going to cost the American taxpayer anywhere between $5 and $9 million to clean that up. And that's just a waste of money because they're not getting paid anyway. Those people are not being paid. This is the record. This is the important record. This is the checkbook over here. All those Social Security numbers over here are not in pay. They've terminated, been suspended, whatever the case may be. But if you want to knock yourself and clean up that record and make it all pretty and, whatever you want to do, put a nice little bow on it, whatever you want to do, it doesn't matter. But offices can't even buy paper. Come on. They can't pick up the phone, and you're focusing on that. So please, Elon Musk, there is things you can do to improve. There is fraud out there at Social Security Administration. He is looking for a one little thing that he can do to save billions of dollars. There's nothing really like that in Social Security. Social Security fraud are individual people working while receiving disability benefits, individual people, receiving SSI that have other income coming in. Those are individual cases, and Social Security employees catch people doing fraud on that every single day. But it's a one-on-one type of situation where you have to review the person, talk to the person, check their earnings record and all this stuff. He's not going to find billions of dollars of fraud in one fell swoop at the Social Security Administration. Social Security Administration has passed with flying colors so many audits. All right, so All right, so let's go ahead and get into the live Q&A here. We have tons and tons of questions, and so I'll spend the next 40 minutes or so answering as many questions as I possibly can. And of course, as usual, the sponsor is Medicare. We've only got a few more days. If you have a Medicare Advantage plan, you haven't checked it, you want to check to make sure you're still in the best one. You want to make sure your doctor is still there. You want to make sure you're going to be saving as much money for the rest of the year. You've got a few more days. March 31st is the deadline, and then you're done. You can't change your Medicare Advantage plan unless you have some type of special thing where you move or something like that. So you have until March 31st to review your Medicare plan and make sure it's the best. The Medicare Advantage plan, make sure it's the best one for you for the rest of the year. And you can reach out to Chapter. They can help you out 100% free. And this is also the opportunity that you can get out of a Medicare Advantage and go to a Medicare Supplement, which are the ones I recommend. So call them up and say, hey, can I get out of this thing and go to a Medicare Supplement plan? Go back to original Medicare and get a Medicare Supplement plan. There's some health underwriting possibly, and there is monthly premiums for those Medicare Supplement plans. But please check it out and see if that one is for you. All right. Hello for North Carolina. Hey. Tina, how many are stressed out about losing Social Security? Unfortunately, I cannot survive. Yes, that's so. The current regime of Social Security is doing a phenomenal job, and definitely doing a phenomenal job stressing people out. That one day the acting commissioner says, I'm just going to shut the whole thing down. It's my ball. I'm going home. And he said he threatened to shut it down. The next day he changed his mind. You've got the commerce secretaries out there saying, well, if you complain about not getting your check, you're obviously a fraudster. You have to go to the local Social Security office. You don't have to go to the local Social Security office. Yeah, it's stressing way, way, way too many people out. Let's see. Although I went into my Social Security account today and saw I was approved for my retirement benefits, was not eligible in February, did not receive a check on the 25th of March. Will I get 2 checks April Medicare update? Yes, if you are eligible, let's say in February, remember you get your February check comes in March. But if you're eligible for 2 checks, you've been waiting 2 months and you're eligible for those 2 checks, and they just, the person that was working on your case got fired. And so they had to reallocate move your workload to someplace else. Then once they process your claim, then you'll get the back pay. Yes. But if, your Medicare is supposed to be coming out of that, because of that, I would definitely reach out to Medicare and make sure your Medicare Part B is being taken care of. You're looking April Part B. So yeah, if you've been paying that yourself, I would probably pay it for another month just to make sure, because you don't want to lose your Medicare. But hopefully they should be able to process it and you should be good. I'm on disability. If anything happens, I will put my bed in back of my SUV, put what I can in storage, and live in a mountain vehicle or live with my son and his family. Yeah, that's, I don't know why I did a video today. Some people liked it, some people didn't. Or I put Social Security brought to you by DOGE, and I put a picture of the Three Stooges up there. So maybe y'all saw that one. Yeah, but so there's 2 options. The current regime of the Social Security Administration, DOGE, the DOGE kids, and this puppet, the acting commissioner, are the Three Stooges, and they don't have a clue what they're doing. They're completely incompetent. Or they're geniuses, and I'm working on another video on that. And well, is there a method to this madness? And I don't think you're gonna. Let's say I'm hoping they're incompetent, because the alternative is worse. I'm divorced after 11 years of marriage. My husband is 62 years old. Can I collect Social Security on his record? What age can I collect on his record? I am still working. You can collect as long as you are 62 years old. You have to file for benefits on your own record first. So you file for benefits on your record. And then if your full benefit amount is less than half of his full benefit amount, then you can collect spouse benefits. But you have to be 62 years old. He doesn't have to be filing. This is a common mistake a lot of people make. Your ex-husband, you're married to him for at least 10 years, so you're good there. Your ex-husband doesn't have to be receiving benefits. There's a lot of people out there walking around that have extra money that they're eligible for, but don't get it because they think, well, my ex is still working, he or she is, not going to start receiving retirement benefits for a year, 2 years, or 3 years. And so I guess I can't get anything. No, that is 100% incorrect. You can start those benefits even if they haven't filed. It's called independently entitled divorced spouse benefits. And unfortunately, when you go to the local Social Security office, a lot of times the person at the front window, the people at front windows are called CSR, customer service representatives. They are not experts in this type of thing. They should know, but unfortunately, Social Security is just barely, treading water. So they don't have a lot of time for training. And so if they say no, that your ex has to be receiving benefits, and you say, well, that's very interesting, nice opinion you have there, but I would like to talk to a Title II CS, Title II of the Social Security Act claim specialist. And they'll tell you, oh yeah, yep, independently entitled divorced spouse, no problem. Come on back. Let's go ahead and take your claim. So you just have to get over that hurdle. And unfortunately, a lot of people don't. But that last part of your sentence, I am still working. So you're limited to the amount of money you can make. This year, it's $23,400 if you're under your full retirement age. If you're making over that, then Social Security holds back $1 for every $2 you go over. So let's see here. I filed for retirement benefits in December 2024 and was approved January 2025, scheduled to receive first check in May, turned 62 this month. Do I need to do anything? Nope, you're good. As hopefully you've already got your award letter, the decision letter, and it tells you all the details. So as long as you have that, then you're good. That means the claim is processed. It looks like you said approved. So you probably already got that letter and you're good. Yep, you're good. Could it be that the SBA loans to 11-year-old children be survivor benefits annuity from a government pension or something like that? No, I'm not exactly sure what Elon Musk was talking about. 11-year-olds, Social Security numbers and SBA loans. He kind of conflated the two, kind of confused the two, and some of his people on the other side that don't like him said, hey, these are just survivor benefits, and that's not correct either. So yes, 11-year-old children can receive survivor benefits, can receive what's called auxiliary child benefits from a parent that's receiving disability or retirement benefits or whatever the case may be. But what I think again, I'm not an expert in SBA, the Small Business Administration, but it sounds like, it's a common thing that parents, they ruin the credit of their children by taking out credit cards in their children's name. And so I guess they took out, SBA loans because there's a lot of people out there, especially, people that have really good tax attorneys. They hire their kids, and their kids might be like 1 or 2 years old or 3 years old. And they hire their kids if they have like self-employment. And there's accountants out there that recommend this. He says, oh yeah, get your 1-year-old has a thing and Social Security number, and we'll just put the earnings under that person, and and that way, since they save money that way. So I think that's probably what it was. So so it has nothing to do with Social Security. It has nothing to do with Social Security. Just the fact that everybody has a Social Security number. So it's nothing to do with Social Security. Thank you. I was wondering if I had to go to the Social Security office. I started receiving widow's benefits end of 2024. Nope, Laura, you are good. Go on with your life. Don't worry about it. You can reach out to your politicians if you got a few moments and say, hey, stop doing this to us. What the hell are y'all thinking? And this is, it's, if it wasn't so tragic, it would be kind of funnyish. If you were part of my live Q&A yesterday, we had someone on here that said, this is completely, because people are receiving disability benefits and, they're elderly. And this poor lady was on the verge of suicide. She came in and says, this is killing me. I don't want to live anymore. And so this is the type of stress these people that are in charge of Social Security are causing people out there. They don't understand who gets Social Security. Vast majority of people just get regular retirement benefits, but there's millions that receive disability benefits for a physical disability or a mental disability, and you can't do that to these people. You can't say, I'm just going to shut down the entire agency, and then the next day change your mind. Oh, everybody has to go in the Social Security office, and the next day change your mind. You just can't do that. Yeah, and so they're the guy in charge of OMB, the Office of Management and Budget. He is on record that says he wants to traumatize federal employees. So I think he's trying to traumatize people, that anybody that's, I guess he considers y'all federal government employees because you're receiving a government check. So maybe their idea is to traumatize people. Yeah. I'm working on that idea now. So anyway. Shouldn't have to do a survivor claim if already receiving spousal excess on spouse record. Right? Yes, Tom, you are correct. If you are already on that person's record receiving, spouse benefits, divorce spouse benefits, and then that person passes away, it's automatic. So, it's automatic if you're after your full retirement age. If you're under your full retirement age, then they put you in suspense, and then you have to contact Social Security and say whether you want to start those survivor benefits now or wait until your full retirement age. But if you are married to the person, currently married, living in the same household, make sure your addresses on the in Social Security are correct. And call up Social Security and, just confirm, not now because it's going to be terrible. But anyway, go online, make sure your address is correct. And one of the things that gets a mistake that happens quite often is you call up Social Security and you say, hey, I need to update my, address. And they update it on your record, on your Social Security number. But then they forget to update it on the record of your spouse, because your address, your residence, and your mailing address are on that record as well. So if you're receiving spouse benefits or survivor spouse benefits, then when you call up and change your address, say, hey, did you change it on both MBRs? And then if you say it like that, they'll say, wow, this person really knows what they're talking about. So, and that's the good thing. That's why please subscribe and like and share and all that kind of good stuff, because there's too many people out there being stressed out. I know for a fact that on April 1st of next week, Social Security offices throughout the country are going to be inundated with just millions of people going down there that, only heard, I have to go down to keep my check. I have to go down to keep my check. It's going to be a nightmare. So please tell everybody they don't have to do that. They were still in the records, but they were not being paid. DOGE didn't save one dime doing this. That's a fact. Yeah. I mean, it's nice. All the records are nice, pretty and everything. They've got all but I'm not sure how they did it, because one of the reasons Social Security, said it's going to cost a lot of money is because they need, proper documentation of the day of that person's passing. And you just can't make that stuff up. That's fraud. So you can't do that. So I'm not sure how they closed out those records legally. And some of those records are those are people that are not 150 years old. They might be 15 years old. Just the date of birth was written in there incorrectly. And so I think we're going to see a lot more cases of, like we saw in that guy from Seattle, Dan from Seattle, who was, unceremoniously, vacated from the world, and he had to go down there and, change everything. It says, no, I'm still alive. So I think we're going to see a lot more cases like that, because they're just going in there and just doing things not correctly, just so they can write a tweet and said, hey, we did something. You didn't save any money though. And there's so many places. This is the tragedy of all this. Elon Musk, if he really wanted to help, if he was really honest about saving Social Security and helping Social Security and all that, there's plenty of places that he can help. People are receiving disability benefits. They need help understanding, the work requirements. People are receiving SSI, need help, reporting their wages. He could start a nice little app. He could do this. And there's so many places, it's a tragedy that he would just focus on something that means nothing in the long term. So it doesn't help anybody out. So it's good optics, it's good politics, but yeah, it's a lost opportunity. Um, Today, I had to drive to our local Social Security office to get its phone number. The only number listed on Google is the 800 number, which is a circular mess. It dropped me after 27 minutes on hold. Yes, yes. I have a spreadsheet of every local office, Social Security office, and their fax numbers in the country. Maybe if I can figure out a way to share it with everybody, I just might do that. I'm sure the powers that be won't be happy, but tough. Ed, as long as those people are what he says, over 105, 200 years old, and not people who are currently receiving legal benefits, that those guys aren't messing up the system. Yeah, they're not messing up because they're not stopping any checks, so it's not saving Social Security anything. But again, that just might be somebody typed this person's Social Security number wrong incorrectly in 1976. Put 1916 instead of 1976, and that person it's not receiving a Social Security benefit now because they're too young. But all of a sudden, their bank is going to call them up and say, "Hey." You call up their wife and say, "Hey, sorry for your loss." What do you mean, sorry for your loss? Well, person just notified that they've passed. So yeah, that's if they didn't do this right and they rushed it just for political purposes, it sounds like, or just so they can tweet it out, then it's going to cause a lot of people a lot of aggravation because I don't think they're doing it right. But we shall see, won't we? Study out today, if DOGE eliminates 50% of every government worker for every agency, it would save less than 1.5% of the entire budget. The money isn't in payroll. DOGE cost $8 million a day for their data work. Yeah. And then, that is a compact, a promise that Social Security made since 1935. You pay FICA tax, and then when you get 62, 67, the money's there for you, and it's there. Whether it's going to be reduced in 2034, that's what we have to decide. But part of that is also when you need help getting it, we will help you get it, and that's the part that let's see. Talk to a Social Security office. Do not believe what you hear on social media. Yeah, I agree. There's a lot of social media out there. That's why I've done this video. I've started these videos, the last 4 or 5, with whatever I was talking about. I first said, okay, you get a lot of stuff out in social media land about having to go down to local Social Security office and some bonuses and some stimulus checks. And what are some of the other things about the audits happening and stuff like that? Yes, there's a whole bunch of crazy stuff out there happening in social media land because there's no other real social media person that actually worked for the agency. So they're just, parroting whatever they think they know. Yeah. Most real and large dollar fraud is in defense contracting between private defense contractors and the DOD. Yes, that is a fact. Being an old Marine Corps sergeant, I can tell you that's where the real money is. Social Security has passed their audits every single year, independent audits they've passed every year with flying colors. Those auditors used to come into my office and pass with flying colors. But the DOD hasn't passed an audit in 7 years or something like that. Yeah. So there's a lot of money in there that could be found. Hello, Dr. Ed. Thanks for answering my questions. The Social Security is always a target. It survived all the BS every single time, and I hope it will survive this time. Yes. Yeah. The very fact that it came into existence in the first place in 1935 was amazing. The same exact arguments that are being rehashed out right now, it's Elon Musk is not being original. He isn't the first person that called Social Security a Ponzi scheme. They were calling it, that in 1936, right after it came out, that the trust fund is fake. It's IOUs. That's the same argument every single year. I think I'm going to do a video on this. I was thinking about this. In 100 years, in 200 years, if you put 3 organizations up, let's say Tesla, SpaceX, and Social Security, in 200, 300 years, guess which one is still going to be around? Social Security. And people say, well, it's bankrupt. No, it's not bankrupt. The issue is FICA taxes. This much comes in, this much checks go out. What covers the difference? The trust fund, the savings, the $2.6 trillion of savings. That's what covers that gap. that trust fund, they're pulling money out of that every single year. And then in a few years, that trust fund is no longer going to be in existence. It's going to be depleted, right? Savings depleted. So what's going to cover that gap? Nothing. So what is paid out has to go down to what's received in. And that's where we're going to get the cuts, 20, 23, 24, 31%. Depends on what happens over the next, couple of years. And that's the issue. Will Social Security be around here in 100 years or 200 years? Yes, unless we decide to privatize it and give it to Wall Street, which was, has been the intention for decades. But if we actually keep it and we decide not to give it over to Wall Street, then Social Security will be here for 100 years, 200 years, 300 years. It just how much will be paid out. That will be the issue. And how do we pay out more? We make everybody pay FICA, the same FICA tax as we pay. We pay FICA on every penny we make. Every dollar we make, we pay that 6.2%. Elon Musk pays probably zero. If you make over $176,100, you're exempt from FICA tax for the Social Security part. You pay the Medicare part, but from Social Security FICA tax, you don't pay it anymore. That's the issue. That's why we're going to get cuts in a few years. So there is nothing more than a scavenger hunt for any means or way to access the monetary system or funds in the monetary system that can be commandeered by half of this. We, the people, will be fine. Yeah, I'm positive as well. I think we'll be fine. I think, as Winston Churchill says, Americans always choose the right path after they've exhausted all other options. And I'm paraphrasing him there, but yeah. How much did the government borrow from Social Security trusts that it has not paid back yet? Zero. Yeah. So this is why Social Security is in dire straits in terms of those cuts coming up, because people are distracted by, borrowing money. This is an old thing that politicians use to distract us. They said, "Hey, the Social Security money is stolen. It was, whatever. It's, given to this country, or it's all fake." And so that's a way for, politicians to distract us. And so don't fall for the distraction. The $2.6 trillion in Treasury, it's in Treasury bonds. And just like when how much has the bank stolen from you? Because you put the money in the bank and the bank loans it out to other people to buy cars and houses and stuff like that. So that money has been stolen from you? No. When you want it, you go get it. Same thing with Social Security. When Social Security needs that Treasury, that money to pay your check, which they do, probably about 6 or 7, 8% of your check comes from the Treasury fund. So where did that money go? If you're receiving a Social Security check, look in your check. There it is. There's the trust fund in your check. So is there extra money for people on SSDI and SSI? I keep seeing all these things like that we got last time of $1,200. Yeah, that's another thing about social media land out there. There's a lot of that stimulus, and the DOGE dividend and all that other kind of stuff. That's just an idea, but nothing concrete now. There's no stimulus packages on the way for anything like that. But is there extra resources and financial assistance for people on SSDI and SSI? Absolutely. I've done a video of several versions of about 50 different programs that might help, make your life easier, particularly if you're on SSI, which is the welfare-based program. Make sure you reach out to Medicaid, get Medicaid. With your Medicare, if you have Medicare and Medicaid, you can get the extra help with the prescription drugs. You can get a lot of your health care taken care of. Your Medicaid, the state Medicaid, will pay for your Medicare Part B premium, that $185. You might be able to get a Medicare Advantage plan in your particular area, and that might get you one of those grocery cards that you hear about all the time. They do exist. The way they advertise them is very, very scammy, but they do exist. So you can reach out to Chapter and they can see what's available in your area and see if they can get you some more money. If not, then they'll say, "Hey, you're good." I'm 69 in June and plan to apply for benefits when I'm 70. But will Social Security still be around to help? Should I apply now instead? To help, that's a whole different question. Whether they're actually have someone in the office to help you. But you can only apply about 3 or 4 months before you want your benefits to start. So yeah, you wouldn't be able to start. Doesn't sound like you'd be able to, start the process now because it's too early. If you're looking at next June, next year. So yeah, so 3 or 4 months before then, file online if you're able to. Um, One of the things that Social Security is, and Elon Musk and DOGE is pushing everybody to file online so they can do everything through AI and, get rid of all the employees or whatever. But yeah, I I did a poll a few days ago amongst the audience, and y'all 90% said no. I don't want AI deciding how much my Social Security check is going to be for the rest of my life. So a lot of people don't trust it because it can be programmed to do different things, and so you need someone to help. So, but when you file for retirement benefits, when you file online, it's kind of like the hammer and the nail type thing. If all you have is a hammer, everything looks like a nail. So people, when they file for Social Security, they think Social Security is retirement and Social Security cards, and they don't know about all the other stuff: the spouse benefits, independently entitled spouse support benefits, child and care benefits, disability, disabled widows benefits, surviving spouse, all this other type of thing. So that's why you need really someone to help you out, and that's one of the reasons I started this channel. So. You sound like an upset federal employee that got booted by DOGE. Such negative comments to slashing government excess spending. Leilani, hey, aloha. Stationed in Camp Smith and Kaneohe Bay. So, no, I wasn't. I left the agency a couple of years ago, long before DOGE. But in terms of government spending, yeah, other agencies, I just keep up on Social Security, but they haven't found really anything from Social Security. They closed down one office, and that saved $60,000. But how many millions of dollars have they spent on closing out those 150-year-old records? So they haven't found any money on Social Security. They really haven't found any savings on Social Security, fraud, waste, and abuse. They've been trying, but they haven't. So, and it's funny that the people that they're firing, those people find fraud, waste, and abuse every single day. That's their job, is to identify people that are receiving benefits that shouldn't receive benefits. And it's an individual thing. They have to, look at individuals and individual cases, and they do that every single day. But those people have been fired. So if you're looking for fraud, waste, and abuse, you need people to look for fraud, waste, and abuse. So yeah, Leilani, if you know of anything that DOGE has found in terms of Social Security fraud, waste, and abuse, please let me know. But other than closing down a couple of small hearing offices that were unproductive, yeah, nothing. So they've caused a lot of stress and anxiety out there. I know that. Chris, can my husband and I collect disability at the same time, or do they look at the money one of them make from disability and VA and say we make too much to collect it, if that makes a difference? Nope. The only way that would make a difference is if it's SSI, Supplemental Security Income. That's the welfare-based program. Because it's a welfare-based program, if you're getting any other money out there, VA, other disability or whatever, then it'll affect that. But if you're looking at just regular SSDI, no relevance whatsoever. So you can get full SSDI, whatever you're eligible for. Your husband can get full SSI, whatever he's eligible for. If you've got children, they can get auxiliary child benefits on your record once your disability starts. So, yep, no relevance there whatsoever. Nelson, when I spoke to a representative on the phone, they told me I was approved for SSDI. They told me that I'm supposed to start in May, but my payment isn't till June. Will it be in the beginning or end? It really depends on your date of birth. So if you were born in the first 10 days, second Wednesday, second 10 days, third Wednesday of the month. So who got all the money? Yeah. Supposedly, yeah. I guess I forgot about that part. Elon Musk said, this is the greatest fraud in history. All these, millions of people that are not alive receiving all these checks, and then there's no. What happened to the money? So if all of these billion, so I forgot to mention, thank you, Bethany. So if he said it was at first 20 million people receiving Social Security checks. Okay, we'll cut that in half. 10 million people. And if the average check in the United States is about 1,900, let's say make it 2,000. So we're looking at about $20 billion a month. So this has been going on for a couple of 3 months. So DOGE has given out $20 billion a couple of months ago, $20 billion this month. They're going to get out another $20 billion next month. So that's $60 billion that they're giving out to people that are not alive. Why haven't they stopped that money? Why haven't they put it up on the DOGE website that, hey, we just stopped $60 billion from going out? Where's that money? So if they didn't stop it, where'd it go? Or did it never exist? And as everybody that knows Social Security, it didn't exist. So, which means that he perhaps wasn't telling the truth from the get-go. Go figure. I've tried several times to use the Social Security website. It won't accept my login info. Yeah, sometimes if you can't pass the challenge questions and all that other kind of stuff, unfortunately, you'll have to, I guess now, go down to a local Social Security office and show them your ID and, get all set up. Yes. Thank you for all your help with all the questions. You're welcome. Yeah, definitely anyway, I need help. There's, I guess, an old Marine there. I need help with an overpayment from my son. I've been through all the procedures and honestly, I conclude that Social Security is corrupt. Okay. Yeah, if you've got an overpayment, if you've gone through all the procedures, you've gone all the way to the administrative law judge, that it's not your fault. You don't have the ability to repay. You did the 632, then you did your personal conference, and then you can see a judge. And the judge usually has a lot more latitude in, deleting out overpayments and, readjusting them or whatever the case may be. So if you've gone all the way to the administrative law judge, then you have other appeal rights. The appeals council in Falls Church, Virginia, you don't have to go there. You just, file a form and they will review what the administrative law judge says. And if that doesn't work, then you can file a lawsuit in federal court and against Social Security. So happens all the time. I am lost trying to get some kind of response. I applied in November 2024 and as now nothing. Social Security at the embassy in Frankfurt, Germany is not responding to emails or regular mail. Yeah, the federal benefits unit, when you file for any type of benefits while you're overseas, then it takes forever and a day because, the federal benefits unit in that part of the world, they take all those claims together and they send it to Baltimore, the Office of International Operations, and it's, processed there. And and the embassy staff, that embassy staff, I'm not sure where the federal benefits unit is. I think, is it in Frankfurt, Berlin? It might be in Berlin, but I know there's one in London. But the federal benefit units, there's only a few in the world, about 11 or so, that actually have Social Security employees. All the other embassies and consulates throughout the country, throughout the world, they just have regular embassy staff helping with Social Security questions, but they're not Social Security people. So I think Frankfurt just has, so I would call the Office of International Operations in Baltimore and see if that office still exists. So everything this administration has done so far is fraud. I don't think they care whether they commit massive amounts of fraud, since every time they screw up, they say it's no problem. Yeah, I don't see if they've, they've certainly, made a lot of baseless allegations that, they can't prove. I don't think any fraud necessarily, other than saying that, it's a Ponzi scheme and, whatever. But I think they wasted a lot of money cleaning up those records, which, doesn't save the taxpayer any money. But if they want to do it, more power to them, I guess, particularly if Elon Musk is footing the bill for it. Yeah, if he's footing the bill for it, then go for it. But, there's a lot more. Elon, contact me. I'll tell you a lot of places you can help people. Come on. When is the revolution going to start? You're a jarhead, and I was raised by one. My old man started Guadalcanal. Thank you. Wow, Guadalcanal, one of the most bloodiest battles of World War II. Hoorah. Yeah, if you are raised by a Marine, then essentially you are, by de facto a Marine. I'm glad, Dr. Weir, not working with them. I feel safe asking these questions. Yep. All of the information I get is a one-way street from all my connections left in Social Security. They feed me information, and so people say, I don't know if I should tell Ed. Maybe he'll drop the dime on me, and I don't even know who you are. So, but There is no official moderator. The best thing to do is post your question early. Oh, okay. Yeah. No, yeah, it's just this is a one-man operation. Yes. Social Security runs out at 2034, according to you. Should we continue down this road? Let's hope there is finally some change. Yeah, I mean, the American people, and usually in their darkest days, they have usually pulled themselves out of the abyss. And in terms of Social Security, this is the darkest days we've had since 1935. So, and this is a long time coming. I've said many times on this, this channel that, this is not, DOGE and Trump's fault. They're making it 10 times worse, but this has been a long time coming. It's, Biden's and the previous Trump and Bush and Clinton and Obama and all politicians for the last 20 or 30 years knew the Social Security Trust Fund was running out and people were going to get cuts, and they've had decades to fix it. But they refuse to fix it, and we refuse to hold them accountable and make them fix it because we're too obsessed with the shiny objects that they distract us with. Oh, it's stolen, it's given to illegals. So we need to stop falling for the tricks. But unfortunately, yeah. That's not fair. A lot of people didn't pay into Social Security. What game is that? Okay, yeah. The people, yeah, there was a politician that said Social Security should end for anybody that did not pay into Social Security. Well, the only people that received Social Security that did not pay into Social Security legally is spouses and children. So if he wants to end Social Security for people that did not pay into it, then if you're a stay-at-home, husband or wife, and then your spouse files for benefits, you're eligible for benefits on that record, even if you didn't pay into it. So he's recommending that stop. If you receive retirement benefits or disability benefits, your children can get benefits up until they're 18, or disabled. If they're disabled before the age of 22, they can get benefits throughout their life. So he is saying that children should no longer get benefits. So don't talk about Elon. You're not him. So stop fear mongering, brah. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Social Security is a Ponzi scheme, the greatest fraud in history. And that's kind of fear mongering to me. With the position that you claim or have held at Social Security, maybe you have had a hand in the misuse of Social Security monies. And maybe that's why you're speaking out so strongly. No. At my office, we've put many people in jail for Social Security fraud, had to pay restitution, all this kind of stuff. Yeah. Yep. So, but yeah, it's politics nowadays is, don't care what happens to me and my relatives or whatever, as long as I can score political points and, go call this person a libtard or a Nazi or whatever the case may be, then I've done my job for the day. It's a sad state of affairs, isn't it? Policyholders should have to live off $965 per month with no recourse. Okay, not sure. All right, I'm on Social Security disability. Thank God I'm not working on it, because Elon Musk said last week he is concerned about SSDI recipients working. Stay away, Elon. Yeah, he doesn't understand that. He said, like, one of the things he just doesn't understand. Hopefully, someone at Social Security has told him this, but I'm sure somebody at Social Security tell him about those. The people over 150 years old aren't receiving benefits, but he doesn't listen for whatever reason. But he has also said, we need to go after people that are getting benefits on, multiple Social Security numbers. And I'm like, well, that happens every day. That's part of the process. When you file for retirement benefits on your own record, you get benefits on your own record. If you're also eligible for benefits on spouse records, you get benefits on the spouse's record. So your Social Security number, an A at the end, and then you're a B or a W or something at the end of the Social Security number. So there's millions of people receiving benefits on two records. So he doesn't understand that. And I don't think a lot of people don't understand, when you're receiving disability benefits, you are eligible to work. Social Security, well, not Social Security, Social Security just does whatever Congress tells them to do. Congress, our politicians have said, we want people to go back to work if they're on disability. But, if people are on disability and then they try to go back to work and they work for a day, and Social Security immediately says, "Oh, you work for a day, you're done. No more disability." Then nobody would try. So that's why Congress has come up with a good system. It's called the trial work period. For 9 months, you can try to work, a period where you can try to work. So for 9 months, if you're on Social Security disability benefits, you can make as much as money as you want. $1 billion a month doesn't affect your Social Security benefits. After that 9 months, then you're going to lose your benefits for that month. Every month you're over a certain amount. And that's, speaking of fraud, that's what we used to get calls in our office a lot is, some neighbor would drop the dime on another neighbor, says, "Hey, yeah, that person is receiving disability benefits, but I see the person for the last few months go to work every day." And I'm like, and then they call us up and we have to, send out the thing and, maybe send out the OIG investigator to go knock on the door. And the person's, yeah, I'm in my 9-month trial work period and I'm seeing if I can go back to work. And so, okay, great. Awesome. We like that. We like that as a country. You go back to work, you make more money yourself. Eventually, if you continue to work, your Social Security disability benefits will end. That's good for the trust fund. You'll pay more taxes, and so it's good for everybody if you're able to get off disability. That's why they make it that. But invariably, you have people say, "Well, I know this one guy, he's on disability, he's working." Well, good, great. If they continue to work, then but even you can work on disability for 20 or 30 years. It's substantial gainful activity. Like this year, as long as you stay under $1,620, then you can continue to receive disability benefits and work. So it's not considered substantial gainful activity. You may disagree with that, but that's the law. Hello, can both my husband and I collect? Okay, I already answered that one. What's wrong with correcting the records? Nothing. It's just a waste of time and money. But if he wants to knock himself out and correct it, because it's not saving Social Security. It's not saving you one penny. It's not saving you one penny. Those people are not in pay. So, yeah. How did inflation and COLA increases affect the trust fund? Good question, greedy gambler. That's the tariffs that are being talked about are also going to put a stress on the Social Security Trust Fund, which is also going to cut, it's going to make more cuts to our benefits in the future and sooner. And how is this? Tariffs increase inflation. You have to pay more, import more. That cost is passed on to the consumer, which increases inflation. Inflation is how, the cost of a basket of goods is how they decide what the COLA will be. How much, like this year is the 2.5%. How is that done? It's not a political thing. It's not decided. It's not calculated by politicians. It's calculated by bureaucrat, accountants, actuaries, Department of Labor Statistics. They take the third quarter of one year, a basket of goods. They buy a basket of goods this quarter, and then the third quarter of the next year, by September 30th, they get that other basket of goods and they see how much the prices have gone up. So for this last time, it only went up 2.5% basically. So that's why you only get a 2.5% COLA. A few years ago, it went up by 8.7%. So I think the COLA for next year is going to be high. Probably, 3 or 4 times higher. And you're like, wow, that's great. No, it's not great, because the reason it's high is because inflation has gone up so much. And so if it's high, they have to give out more money, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8%. They have to give more money, and that depletes the trust fund. So, and when you deplete the trust fund, then our cuts happen sooner, and they're more deep, and they're deeper. So, question, hope you see this. Yes, Chi-Town native. Can my disabled 33-year-old son collect on my RSDI since there will be no money for me? He is collecting SSI now. If he's collecting SSI now, he's 33 years old, so that means he's receiving it because he's disabled. If y'all can prove that he became disabled before the age of 22, then yes, but not sure what you mean by there's no money for you. But anyway, but yeah, if his disabilities began before the age of 22, please reach out to Social Security and file a DAC claim, a disabled adult child claim. And they already have already have a lot of his records because he is receiving disability benefits now. So yes, Call up and schedule an appointment. Don't wait. Why are you still here? Run to the phone right now and get on the phone, wait for 3 hours and say, my son wants to file for a disabled adult child claim, and they will schedule an appointment and do everything. It takes forever because you have to go through the whole disability rigmarole, and it's even worse now because there's nobody out there to do these, but at least you'll start the process. So hopefully she's already on the phone. Bye. Social Security is not broken. It has nearly $3 trillion account plus what goes in it to it on the daily. Yeah, I agree. It's not broken, $2.7 trillion, but that money is slowly being depleted, and there'll be cuts. And whether it's broken, I guess potato. If you're going to be one of those people that get a 20% cut in your check, you're probably going to say it's kind of broken-ish, I guess. So, but the great thing is we can fix it if we stop getting distracted by politicians, if we're serious. But if we're not serious, then it's our own fault. Michael, because of the earnings cap, more money goes out than comes in. Yeah. Yes, that's the FICA cap. Yes, that's the number one reason why. That's the number one solution for avoiding the cuts, is to make everybody pay like we do into Social Security, no matter how much you make. So, and that's the way with Medicare. So, when they got rid of the cap for Medicare, there was no revolution or, civil war. So I'm not sure what's going on. Occam's razor, simplify. I got bored with you, LOL. You're not worth my time. You're boring. I'm fully retired, not some SSDI nutcase like you. Oh, okay. Sorry, my wife likes to chime in here every now and then. And so, hi, honey. Them idiots said that if a senior complains about not getting paid, that means they're fraudsters. The one who said this is a fool. Yeah. I'm not sure what this full frontal assault is on Social Security. Come on. That's the guy. Wow. I mean, if it'd be nice, everybody have a son-in-law that happens to be a billionaire. That'd be pretty cool, right? So I'm going to have to make sure my daughter marries a billionaire. Dr. Ed, if my PIA is twice as much as my wife, and we've been married for 45 years and still together, wow, congratulations. Can she file on my record? I'm on SSDI and she's been approved for retirement this month. Yes. So my PIA is twice as much as your wife. Okay, so yes. So your PIA, your full benefit amount, your primary insurance amount is twice as much as her full benefit amount, her PIA, not her reduced amount that she's starting this month, but her full benefit amount. If that's the case, yes. When she filed, then she should have also filed a spouse claim for benefits on your record. But you have to be, so file. That's one of the problems of filing online possibly, is people miss that. So I would have her contact Social Security and double check to see if the numbers do work out. As always, thank you for your unbiased, helpful, and informative advice based on experience working in Social Security. As always, sorry about the unkind trolls and silly comments. No, that's thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you very much. But I appreciate. I love the terrible quotes or the terrible comments. It makes my life fun. So are we going to get benefits this month or not? Everyone podcast is saying different things. I'm so tired of Musk and Trump's money grab. Yes, you will get your Social Security benefits. Yes, you don't have to go down to the local Social Security office. No, they're not auditing 2.6 million of you people and doing this. They are auditing people. I talk about that in another video. There's social media people out there that says, hey, there 2.6 million people are going to be audited to kick you off Social Security benefits, and it's DOGE and Trump's fault and Elon Musk's fault. No, you have to be fair. We have to be fair. The 2.6 million people being audited, it's the same thing that's happened for the last decades. When I ran my office, we did those audits every year. It's basically people receive an SSI, Supplemental Security Income, and we just reviewed their records once every 6 months or every year, make sure they're still low income, low resources. So it's happened the same thing. It's usually about 2.4, 2.5 million every year have done. So if you're not receiving SSI, which is supplemental security income, the welfare-based program, then that's not relevant to you. But everybody else, no, if you're currently receiving benefits, you're good. Don't worry about anything. Go on with your life. Maybe call your politicians and tell them to stop playing with us. But Bisciano was covering up Trump's lies. Every question I heard that was directed at him. No confidence in him. Yeah, he was very politician-ease, wasn't he? Yeah. I recognize your question, and I will answer something completely different. Yeah. But I'll give him the benefit of the doubt until, actions speak louder than words. Social Security would be more viable if they eliminated dual entitlement. One record highest benefit would save billions in Social Security issues. True. One record highest benefit. That's dual entitlement is basically that. Dual entitlement is where you're entitled to, benefits on your own record and then benefit from another record, your spouse or divorced spouse or surviving spouse or whatever the case may be. And you do receive the higher. One offsets the other. So if you're dually entitled, that means you're entitled to benefits on two records, two Social Security numbers. Let's say you're entitled to $1,000 on your own, and then you're entitled to $1,500 from another record. So what they do is they give you your $1,000 on your own, entitlement on one, and then the difference, $500 from the other one, for a total of $1,500. So yes, that's already been done. So, we're at over an hour, so this will be my last question. I was informed that my information was stolen in the state of Colorado. The hospitals or something was hacked. All of a sudden, I have people calling me trying to get my information on the phone. Yeah. So, Social Security, unfortunately, the only thing, we used to have people coming down to Social Security all the time saying, hey, my Social Security number is stolen and yada, yada, somebody bought a car and, whatever. Social Security, the fact that credit card agencies and banks use the Social Security number, it's, should have never happened, but it does. But Social Security only cares about your earnings record, someone trying to collect your check or working under your Social Security number. So in terms of Social Security, the only thing you can do is, set up a My Social Security account and keep an eye on your earnings record. And then if all of a sudden there's, like last year you made $50,000, but there's another $50,000 on your record, that means someone else is working on your Social Security number, and you should get that addressed. And you're just like, no, I'm not going to take that off. It increases my benefit amount. Yes, it does, until they catch it, and then you'll have an overpayment. And you don't want that. So, all right. I apologize. I'm over an hour and out of time. I will be back again tomorrow, if not sooner, and answer some more questions. As usual, thanks, and please take care of each other. Take care.